The sun stood like a burning coin nailed to the sky. No wind, no shadow.
The child is cursed, I tell you!
Even the birds had stopped their songs. In that blinding silence, Chidi walked toward the river, bare feet kicking up dust that shimmered like smoke. He carried a small yellow jerry can, his heart swelling with a thrill of defiance.
What is it?
His mother's voice still echoed behind him. Do not go at noon. But the sound melted away under the weight of heat. At the riverbank, the water looked wrong, too bright, too alive. The surface trembled, though no breeze touched it. Then he heard it.
Cursed, I tell you.
A hum, soft and sweet, threading through the air like silk. He froze. The water parted. A woman rose from the depths, hair dark as storm rain, skin glowing like moonlight caught in glass.
Where is my son?
Around her waist shimmered a rainbow cloth, and beneath it, where legs should have been, glinted a long silver tail. The mermaid smiled. The river held its breath. Chidi tried to scream, but no sound came. The hum wrapped around his throat, and the world collapsed into silence. From the bank, his yellow jerry can tipped over. Water spilled like a broken promise. The forbidden hour had claimed its witness. The heat of noon bled into dusk. The village began to cool. Shadows stretching long across the red earth. Yet Chidi's world remained silent. He sat in the dust before his mother's hut, trembling, eyes wide, mouth open but empty of sound. He touched his ears again and again, struck his chest as if to rattle his voice, lose nothing. Only the dull throb of terror pulsing in his throat. Around him, the villagers had gathered. Women murmured, their wrappers tied high. Old men stood with sticks pressed into the ground. A whisper rippled through them like wind through dry grass. He went at noon, said one. The river has taken his hearing, said another. His tongue too, a third whispered, crossing herself. Chidi's mother, Mama Chidi, crouched beside him in the dust, her wrapper streaked with sweat and tears. She held him tight to her chest, rocking him as though she could shake the curse off his body. Speak, my son, she begged, voice trembling. Please, say something.
What is it?
But Chidi only sobbed soundlessly, shoulders quaking, tears cutting clean lines through the dirt on his face. Her grief cracked open into anger. She looked up, eyes fierce. I will not let the river take my child. She rose, dragging him by the hand, and began to run through the narrow path, past the mango tree, past the quiet huts where lamps were just beginning to glow. Her feet kicked up red dust, her breath ragged, her hair coming loose from its knot. The villagers called after her, but she didn't stop until she reached the edge of the village. There stood the shrine of Baba Okoro, a mud hut low to the ground, draped in red cloth. Feathers and bones hung from the entrance, whispering in the evening wind. Smoke curled up from a small fire pit, and the smell of herbs and ash stung the air. Inside, Baba Okoro, the old native doctor, sat cross-legged, grinding roots with a smooth stone. His eyes were sharp and heavy eyes that had looked at the world long enough to see what lived beneath it. When he saw Mama Chidi, tears streaking her face, dragging her trembling boy, he did not need her to speak. He only nodded once. He went to the river this afternoon, Baba said, voice like distant thunder. Mama Chidi stopped, breath catching. How do you know? He did not look up from his work. The river told me. She fell to her knees before him, clutching Chidi's arm. Please, Baba, help us. He cannot hear. He cannot speak. Baba Okoro's grinding stopped. He leaned forward, studying the boy. He looked upon what was not meant for mortal eyes. The mermaid of the forbidden hour has marked him. The river has taken its due silence. Mama Chidi shook her head violently. No, I will not let them take him. The old man sighed, not with pity, but with weariness. Defiance is brave, but the spirits do not care for bravery. They care for balance. He rose slowly, bones creaking, and walked to a small shelf carved into the wall. From there, he took a bundle wrapped in red cloth, tied with cowrie shells. He opened it and brought out a small black soap, its surface glistening faintly like coal. This soap is made with ash and the water of the river itself. You will use it to bathe him before midnight. Do not wait until the cock crows, or the spirits will claim what remains of him. Mama Chidi clutched the soap to her chest like a relic. Thank you, Baba. May the gods protect you. Baba Okoro looked at her long and hard. The gods protect no one. They only watch who honors the law. Go. The night had deepened by the time she returned home. The moon hid behind thick clouds, and the air smelled of dust and fear. Inside the hut, the small lantern flickered weakly, throwing restless shadows on the walls. She placed a pot of water over the fire outside, whispering a prayer with every bubble that rose. Spirits of water, leave my son. Spirits of earth, hold him. Spirits of wind, hide him from your eyes. When the water was warm, she poured it into a basin, unwrapped the black soap, and began to lather it between her palms. The foam shimmered faintly blue in the moonlight. She called her son forward. Come, my child. Chidi obeyed, shivering in the cold wind. The basin water rippled as he stepped into it, his reflection shaking like a spirit trying to escape. Mama Chidi dipped a cloth into the soapy water, wrung it out, and began to wash him head, shoulders, chest, feet, every touch trembling with fear and love. Please, she whispered between sobs. Please, spirits. He is only a child. Take me instead. The wind picked up, rustling the dry leaves outside. The fire sputtered. Shadows moved across the hut walls as if something unseen was circling them. Chidi's small body quivered, his eyes darting around. He tried to speak. His mouth opened. His chest rose, but still no sound came. The silence was unbearable, thick as smoke. Mama Chidi pressed the cloth harder against his chest, as if she could force sound back into him. Please, hear me, she said, tears dripping into the basin. Please, let my son go. The air grew colder. The water in the basin trembled. For one heartbeat, Chidi felt something brush his leg, soft, slippery and cold. He gasped, stepping back, pointing into the water. She froze. Her hands shook as she looked. The water was calm, only reflecting her face pale, desperate, tear-streaked. Then she saw it, just for an instant, a shadow, long and glimmering, sliding away beneath the surface. She screamed and yanked Chidi out of the basin, clutching him against her chest. The fire roared suddenly high, then dropped low again. The wind howled through the cracks in the wall. She fell to her knees, holding the boy tight. "Please," she sobbed. "Please, spirits, have mercy. He will not return. He will not go to your river again." Outside, the crickets stopped singing. The air grew still. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the wind died, the fire steadied, the basin water lay flat and clear. Mama Chidi pressed her forehead to Chidi's shoulder, whispering prayers until her voice broke. She dressed him in his old shorts, laid him on the mat beside her, and blew out the lantern. "Sleep," she murmured, exhausted. "Tomorrow you will speak again." But the river was not done. In the silence before midnight, as the house exhaled its last breath of warmth, the water in the basin rippled once, then stilled, as if something unseen had just turned to look back. The night was heavy. The moon hid behind swollen clouds, and the air carried a strange weight, the kind that presses on the chest and whispers in the bones. Inside the small hut, Mama Chidi slept on her mat, her arm flung protectively across her son. The fire outside had gone out, leaving only the smell of wet ash. The world was soundless except for Chidi's uneven breathing. He could not sleep. His small eyes stared at the cracked ceiling, following shadows that seemed to twist and stretch. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her, the mermaid spinning in the water, her eyes bright and strange. He turned on his side and tried to wake his mother, whispering without sound. His throat ached. She didn't stir. The air in the room grew cold, unnaturally cold, as though the night had exhaled through ice. Then the lantern flame flickered once, twice, and went out. The darkness swallowed everything, and from the far corner of the hut, a glow began to rise, faint at first, then steady, silver like moonlight on deep water. Chidi froze. His breath stopped in his chest. The glow grew stronger, and in it a shape began to form, tall, graceful, hair drifting as though it floated underwater. Her eyes opened, glowing softly, and her rainbow cloth shimmered in the darkness. The mermaid stood there. Inside their hut, the boy's heart pounded. He wanted to scream, but the curse held his throat like a fist. His teeth chattered noiselessly. He tried to shake his mother awake, but his hands refused to move. His body belonged to someone else now. The mermaid lifted her hand and pointed to him. The gesture was calm, almost tender, but it carried command. "Come." Chidi's legs trembled, then moved on their own. His body rose like a puppet pulled by invisible strings. He turned his head once. Desperate, his mother lay motionless, snoring softly, unaware that the night was stealing her child. Tears spilled down his face as he mouthed, "Mama, please!" But no sound came. He took one step, then another. The floor creaked under his small feet. The mermaid's glow washed across the mud walls, revealing the hanging gauze, the sleeping mat, the wooden spoon by the fire pit, all ordinary things turned ghostly by her light. The closer he got, the colder the air became. His skin prickled with frost. When he reached her, she smiled, not cruelly, not kindly, sadly. Her eyes shimmered like deep wells. In their reflection, Chidi saw the river again wide, endless, the place where silence lived. She reached down, her hand cool and damp, and took his. Her touch made him shiver. The door creaked, not pushed, not pulled, but opened itself. The wind rushed in, carrying the smell of rain and salt. The flame of the dying lantern trembled wildly, casting frantic shadows. Chidi looked back once more, hoping his mother would wake, that she would rise, call his name, break the spell. But she didn't move. The mermaid stepped forward, pulling him gently. Together they crossed the threshold into the night. Outside, the path of silence. The village slept under a pale veil of moonlight. Every hut was still. The goats tied near the kitchen walls stirred faintly, then lay down again. Chickens huddled in their pens, heads tucked under wings. The mermaid walked barefoot, her steps soundless on the sand. The boy followed, half walking, half gliding, as though his feet no longer belonged to earth. The wind rose, carrying dry leaves that spun around them in small circles. The sky had cleared, the moon peeked through the clouds, casting a cold light on the path. The world seemed hollow, no crickets, no frogs, no whisper of trees, only the faint hum that followed the mermaid wherever she went, a sound that wasn't sound but vibration, like a river breathing inside the air. Chidi's tears dried in the wind. He looked back often, each time seeing the village smaller, darker, quieter. The only sound he could feel was the pounding of his own heart. "Where are you taking me?" he thought. But the thought dissolved into the air. The mermaid didn't answer. Her face remained serene, almost sorrowful. She looked neither right nor left, only forward toward the road that led to the river. Inside the hut, the awakening. Back in the hut, the wind brushed across Mama Chidi's face. She stirred, groaning softly, then blinked. The air felt strange, wrong, too cold, too still. She sat up slowly, rubbing her eyes. The mat beside her was empty. "Chidi," she whispered. No answer. Her hand swept across the mat, feeling only the rough fabric and cold air. She sat up fully now, heart pounding. "Chidi?" she called again, louder this time. Her voice echoed off the mud walls. Still nothing. Then she noticed it, the door. It was open, swaying slightly in the wind. The small curtain fluttered like a living thing. Her breath caught. She snatched the lantern beside her and shook it until the weak flame revived. The light trembled across the empty space. "And Chidi!" she screamed, voice breaking. She stumbled to the doorway, nearly dropping the lantern as she rushed outside. The moonlight painted everything silver, the ground, the trees, even the thatched roof of her hut. Shadows stretched long and sharp. "Chidi!" she called again, louder, her voice echoing across the quiet compound. Only the wind answered. She ran toward the gate, eyes darting in every direction. The goats stirred, bleating softly, but the yard was empty. Her hands shook so badly that the lantern's light danced wildly across the ground. Her voice rose to a shriek. My son is gone!" The alarm. One by one, doors opened. Sleepy villagers stepped out, lanterns flickering in their hands. "Mama Chidi, what is it?" one old woman asked, tying her wrapper tighter. "Why are you shouting at this hour?" a man mumbled, rubbing his eyes. "My son is gone," she cried. "Chidi's gone." The villagers exchanged glances, fear dawning in their eyes. "He saw the river spirit," whispered one woman. "And now the river has come for him," said another. Mama Chidi dropped to her knees in the sand, crying, clutching at the ground, as though she could dig her son back out of it. "Please help me! The river cannot take my child!" The people gathered their lamps. They fanned out through the dark, calling, searching behind huts, under mango trees, along the narrow paths where the bush began. Their voices mingled with the wind. "Chidi, Chidi, where are you?" But the night had no echo. Only the soft rush of the distant river answered them, a sound like laughter, low and endless. Mama Chidi wept until her voice was hoarse, her body trembling with exhaustion. Then, through her tears, she heard the old woman's voice. "Go to Baba Okoro. If anyone can speak to the spirits before dawn, it is he." Mama Chidi lifted her face from the sand, eyes blazing through tears. She stood, clutching the lantern with shaking hands. "I will go," she said, her voice breaking, "even if it means walking into the river myself." The villagers stepped back as she pushed past them, the lantern swinging wildly. Her shadow stretched long behind her, running ahead of the wind, racing toward the shrine. The hunt for the living and the dead had begun. The road to the shrine was a black ribbon of dust. Mama Chidi ran barefoot, her wrapper slipping loose, her lantern swinging wildly. The night pressed down on her like a lid. Branches scraped her arms as she stumbled forward, whispering her son's name into the dark. At the village edge, the wind changed. The air thickened, heavy with smoke and herbs. Then the shrine appeared, a small mud house crouched low, wrapped in red cloth, its entrance marked by cowrie shells and feathers that clinked softly in the night breeze. She didn't knock. She slammed her fists against the door, shouting, "Baba Okoro, please open, they've taken my son!" Inside, the old man stirred. The door creaked open. Baba Okoro stood there, his eyes heavy with sleepless wisdom, his waist wrapped in red. Behind him, a small fire burned low, casting orange light that quivered on the charms hanging from the ceiling. He frowned. "Why do you disturb the spirits at this hour, woman?" Mama Chidi fell to her knees, breath coming in gasps. "He's gone! My Chidi is gone! The mermaid came for him, she took him while I slept." The words tumbled from her mouth in sobs. Baba Okoro's face turned grave. The air in the shrine thickened as he stepped aside. "Come," she stumbled in, clutching the lantern to her chest. The walls pulsed with shadows from the fire. The air smelled of bloodwood, burnt herbs, and something faintly metallic, the smell of old sacrifice. Baba Okoro began to pace, beads rattling around his neck. The river spirits have claimed what they warned against. He broke the hour of silence. He saw their dance. Mama Chidi's knees hit the floor. "Then help me, Baba. Please, bring him back." He stopped, his back to her, and for a long moment only the fire crackled. Then he turned, eyes sharp. "There is still a chance if the spirits have not yet taken him below." He walked to a wooden chest in the corner and lifted the lid. Inside, Rows of small gourds and calabashes gleamed in the firelight. He chose one smooth, pale, filled with something that shimmered faintly like starlight. He held it out to her. "Take this." She accepted it with shaking hands. Inside was clear water, not ordinary river water, but sacred water from the junction of 3 currents. Its surface glowed faintly in the lantern light. "Listen to me," Baba said, his voice deep and slow. "Take this calabash to the crossroads at the edge of the village where 3 roads meet. Pour it upon the earth. Call your son's name 3 times. If the spirits have not taken him wholly, his voice will answer you." Mama Chidi looked up, hope flaring in her wet eyes. "And if he does not answer?" Baba Okoro looked at the fire. "Then no call will reach him again." Her fingers tightened around the calabash. "I will go now." "Go quickly," Baba said. "If the cock crows before you finish, he is lost forever." The wind clawed at her as she ran, holding the glowing calabash close to her chest. The path was long, cutting between sleeping huts and silent trees. The moon had sunk low, painting the world in steel grey. By the time she reached the crossroads, her breath came ragged. The place was deserted, 3 roads curling into darkness, the air still, waiting. She knelt, her knees sinking into the cold dust. Her hands trembled as she lifted the calabash. "Chidi," she whispered, pouring a slow stream of water onto the ground. The liquid spread, silver against the earth. Nothing happened. She swallowed hard, voice rising. "Chidi!" The water shimmered faintly. The wind stirred, brushing her face. Then, faint, from the darkness came a small voice. "Mama!" She froze, eyes wide. "Chidi!" Again, "Mama, Mama." Tears flooded her eyes. She turned left, then right, trying to see. "Come to me!" she cried, arms outstretched. But no one emerged, only his voice, soft and echoing like it came from behind a curtain of water. "Mama!" she sobbed, calling again and again, but each time the voice sounded farther away. At last,